Despite it being a year since Bocchi the Rock anime aired, to this very day, there's still a lot of people talking about this series. Even though we don't even know when there's going to be more content being made, you still see online so many posts, whether it's memes, fan art, or just simply people posting clips about the series, which is very rare to see because usually when an anime, even if it's a big title, when the anime usually ends, people don't tend to talk about it as much as they used to when it was airing. But why is this series, despite it being literally 1 year after its airing, is still being talked about and is still mentioned a lot in the anime community? Well, there's a lot of factors, but the biggest one is what Bocchi was able to accomplish in just 12 episodes. In just 12 episodes, Bocchi the Rock was able to show us a really great story with a really great cast of characters that you enjoyed watching the minute they were introduced, and that is saying something considering the fact that Bocchi the Rock doesn't really have that much characters, yet every character has become very memorable in their own special way. Not to mention that the anime was able to catch the attention of two groups of different kinds of people. You have the group of people who are into music and know a lot about bands, and then of course you have the people who just simply enjoy the slice of life anime. And I think this is a very interesting thing that Bocchi the Rock did, is because you don't even have to be a musician or be an expert in how bands work to understand what is going on in this series. As you all know, if you have watched the anime, you will know that the main character, this being Bocchi, is a girl who likes to play the guitar. However, there is just one issue, and it's the fact that she has social anxiety. She gets very nervous and very scared whenever she has to interact with people. Something in which is not too uncommon in real life, because let's face it, there is somebody that we know in our lives that deals with social anxiety, or quite the opposite, in which you yourself have dealt with social anxiety in the past or still dealing with it to this very day. And it's something that a lot of people are having struggles to overcome, which is why Bocchi the Rock was just a great example of showing us just how even though Bocchi does have a dream and does have passion on playing the guitar and wants to make great music, the thing that is the biggest obstacle for her is of course her social anxiety. And while it sometimes is used for comedic relief and sometimes is used for just a simple funny moment, it also has its moments where it's very serious, in which we see Bocchi realize that she has spent her entire life not really trying to solve this problem and instead had just simply tried to accept that this is the person that she is, even though in the back of her head she wants to change and she wants to become a different person than she is. There has never been something or someone that has made her want to change and become a complete different person. Sure, she does have her music and her guitar, but you could also label this as escapism, as her just trying to make sure she has something to do, because in reality, for the most part in her life, she has spent it in her room just being there all by herself. And even though this passion is shown in Bocchi, it's very clear that she's starting to lose interest in the world of music. And this is a moment that can not only be relatable to just the ordinary person, but to also somebody who is part of the music world. Maybe there are people out there just like Bocchi who are passionate about music, but there's just something that's not really getting them to want to create music or pick up the instrument that they love to play. But of course, like always, there is always going to be something or someone that would eventually make you want to move forward in life, or make you want to do something that you've always been wanting to do. And that's something that eventually will happen to Bocchi, as soon as she meets these two people, it will completely change her life. And these two are Nijika and Ryo. And while these two are the complete opposite of Bocchi, in which they have no problems interacting with people, they all have one thing in common, and is that they are all interested in music, especially Nijika, who has a dream about wanting to form a band and making that band become popular, which of course is shocking for Bocchi, as it is a very big dream to accomplish. And while she has thought about that particular dream, she's never really gone forward with it, and that's because of course due to her social anxiety. While she has thought about that dream, she's never really done anything to take action to make that dream happen. But seeing Nijika be so determined and be so passionate about making that dream come true, that it made Bocchi realize that there are people who are determined to achieve some dream that may seem impossible at first, but if they do have that determination to do it, then they could most likely accomplish it. Something that Bocchi can clearly see with Nijika. And when Nijika asks her to join her band, at first she is hesitant, but eventually she will realize that this is the first step to going forward, and she would eventually join her band. Of course, things weren't easy at the start, and even though all three of them got along very well, that didn't mean that Bocchi was used to always having to interact with people on a daily basis, something which Bocchi realized very quickly was very hard to do and something that will take a lot of time to get used to, which once again is just another example of how this anime was very relatable to so many people, because many people who have little to no contact with people or have a very small group of friends can relate to what Bocchi was experiencing in these moments, seeing her get all flustered and trying hard to not make things awkward between them and to just simply be able to continue the conversation without making it weird. It's these moments with Bocchi that we really get to see that trying to overcome your obstacles and trying to become a different person isn't all that easy, and it's going to take quite a bit of time for you to get used to this new lifestyle that you're trying to have without quitting or having second thoughts. But having a social life isn't the only problem that Bocchi is facing throughout this series. It's also her problem with being able to express herself to the full extent. Bocchi has a habit of sometimes keeping everything to herself and not really expressing how she truly feels or what's her true opinion on certain things. It's always inside of her and she never really lets it all out. And going back to something that I said earlier, while yes, Bocchi does have a thing for music and it's very clear that in her mindset the music is the way she could express herself, yet despite having that line of thinking, she hasn't really been able to express herself through her music. While early on we see that she has a YouTube channel, her YouTube channel isn't her own music. She just simply plays whatever music that is popular and makes a cover for it, and then eventually she will upload it on her channel. And while yes, there's nothing wrong with making covers for popular music, in Bocchi's eyes you can see that it's not really something that she really wants to do. It's very clear that she wants to make her own work and wants people to see who she truly is, but she just simply can't do it because she doesn't know how to exactly do just that. She is scared that if she expresses herself, then people might judge her or might not look at her very positively, which is something that's always inside of Bocchi, and it's always the thing that makes Bocchi not want to fully express herself and not show who she truly is as a person. But of course, that all completely changes from time to time as Bocchi is now part of Nijika's band. And even though Bocchi still at this very moment is having trouble expressing herself, she will come to the realization that there's going to be a point in time where she's going to have to express herself, and also realizes that now that she's in a band, not only is her setbacks going to affect her, but it's also going to affect the future of her band. And since Bocchi does deeply care about the people that she's gotten used to and has created a friendship with them, she doesn't want to see those people's dreams be ruined because of her and her refusal to accept herself, which is why the moment when you see her performing her guitar solo, it's not only an important moment but also a special moment for Bocchi, because here we see that Bocchi isn't worrying about herself or worrying about what people are going to say about her. In these moments, she was more worried about her friends and wanting to make sure that they did not look like fools. So for this brief moment, she was able to get out of her comfort zone and express what she is fully capable of doing with the guitar. But of course, this wouldn't be the only time Bocchi will be able to fully express herself, as she would eventually meet somebody else that she will look up to and will actually give her enough courage to start getting out of her comfort zone. And this character is Kikuri, in which obviously some of the things she does in this series isn't the greatest example for Bocchi. She's still very insightful and is able to tell that Bocchi has a hard time being able to be her own self. So not only does she try to give her some very good advice, but she also tries to make Bocchi start to get used to getting out of her comfort zone. And the way she did this is by them having to do a street performance, in which at first Bocchi was very clearly scared to doing so, but Kikuri gives her some advice, telling her that she shouldn't have to be worrying about what may or may not happen, but also reminding her that she has to be her own person. She doesn't have to follow what the other people are doing or what's popular and what's not. She has to be her own true self. And not to mention that she also tells her that the people around her that are watching her perform aren't her enemies. They are not the people that she should be worrying about or the people that she should be scared, which was a piece of advice that really stuck on Bocchi, because it eventually led to her realizing that instead of focusing on the negative side of things, she should be focusing more on the positive, and instead of focusing so much on what could happen, she should just be living her life in the present, because in reality no one really knows what's going to happen in the future. So you might as well just enjoy your life and live the moments that you are facing in the present, because that's all that really matters. So when we see Bocchi once again not having any social anxiety and being confident to say that she wants to change, it really did hit for a lot of people, because while the progress is slow, we are seeing Bocchi starting to become a way different person than she was at the beginning, due to the many people that have given her so much encouragement and have told her many different things that she never would have thought of thinking or believing. She is starting to view many different things very different now, because of everything that she's been taught and everything that she's been able to learn throughout her journey of trying to be a different person. And lastly, we of course have to talk about the dynamic of Kita and Bocchi, because despite them being two completely different kinds of people, their relationship is very interesting to see, and we get to see that while Kita may seem as the perfect individual and somebody that, you know, can have no problems, that is a complete opposite. Kita, just like Bocchi, has her own set of problems as well, and if you actually compare their problems, they're pretty much very similar but also very different as well. While Bocchi's main problem has always been to socialize and being able to interact with people with no problem, Kita is able to do all that, but the problem that Kita always faces is that she just simply goes along with everybody. She always does things that other people do, and she's always putting a persona that she is somebody that is very happy and very outgoing, when in reality she doesn't have any deep connections with a lot of people, and she doesn't have a passion or something that makes her want to keep going forward, unlike Bocchi, who has her music and her wanting to be able to leave a mark so that people can remember her. Those are things that Kita doesn't have, and that's why whenever you see Kita talk to Bocchi, you can tell that she is very proud to be able to look up to Bocchi, because she wishes in a way that she could be similar to Bocchi, which of course when it's revealed, Bocchi is surprised that she has somebody that looks up to her, because she never would have imagined that she would be an inspiration for somebody, but that is exactly what happens. And out of all the people, Kita, the person who seems to be the most popular and the most outgoing, is the one that wishes to be just like her. But it's not surprising, because we have seen from time to time that while Bocchi does have her own struggles, she always tries to go forward even if it's not going to be easy. She does have problems even after she's making progress, but she's still determined to reach her goal no matter how long it takes. So it's not really surprising that eventually somebody will look up to Bocchi and would be an inspiration to try to do things just like Bocchi, to try to be their own unique person and to try to be who they really want to be without worrying how people look at them or judge them. That is something that is really great to see with these two characters, and it goes to show us that even the people that you don't think have problems and they seem to have it all are also dealing with a lot of things. They also have problems, they also have obstacles that they want to overcome. Everyone has problems regardless of how they look or how perfect they seem to be. It's only a matter of time in which you come to find out that everyone, no matter who they are always going to have to deal with something in their lives that aren't pleasant. And that is why out of all the characters and all their relationships, Bocchi's relationship with Kita stood out the most, is because in a way these two are the exact same people. They have the exact same origins, it's just that they went to different directions to try to overcome their obstacles. One tried to find a passion to be able to fully express themselves and not be lonely, while the other one just went along with other people in order to not be lonely themselves as well. And that's how they mostly lived their lives until they of course encountered each other, in which due to them being able to hang out so much, they've been able to see so many different kinds of things and learn so many different kinds of lessons that they started to have color in their world. So with all these reasons alone, it's not surprising why to this very day Bocchi the Rock is still very memorable, and many people would consider it to be a modern classic. Just 12 episodes, not only did we get to see a great cast of characters, but great character development as well. Not to mention there's just simply so many memorable moments that if I were to list every memorable moment in this series, we'd be here all day. But it just goes to show us how every scene, every interaction always left a mark and always showed us just how great this story is, and why so many people are looking forward to seeing more content of Bocchi the Rock. And that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.